or STEAM, to power the life sciences and logistics on campuses, where companies will do research and development for the next generation technologies. The City of Philadelphia and Southern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority are going to use clean hydrogen to power their heavy-duty vehicle fleets, like street sweepers, garbage trucks, fuel cells, and electronic buses. The DuPont Company in Delaware is going to use hydrogen to power their research and development operations at one of the most extensive power experimental stations in the world in Wilmington, Delaware. Here in the Mid-Atlantic hub, every single one of these projects will use project labor agreements. That's another way of saying union. And by the way, here it's going to create 20,800 jobs. 20,800 jobs here in this hub. Plumbers, pipe fitters, electricians, laborers, and so much more. Look, we're not just creating jobs here in the region. In western Pennsylvania and Ohio, West Virginia, Hydrogen Hub will bring another source of good-paying jobs to the coal communities, so workers who powered our nation for generations can now work and produce clean hydrogen, just like we've seen them start their careers reclaiming abandoned mines, manufacturing advanced batteries, and the solar industry, because they deserve it. They powered us for so long, just like my hometown of Scranton. The same communities that were once thriving coal mining and power plant towns will now be the center of our new clean energy economy. We're restoring hope and opportunity and dignity along the way. That was my commitment, and that's what we're delivering. We're doing the same thing at a hub in the Midwest, a hub in California, and another hub in the Dakotas and Minnesota. All across the country, from coast to coast, in the heartland, we're building a clean energy future here in America, not somewhere else. Taken together, the emission reductions from these hydrogen hubs will be the equivalent of taking 5.5 million gas-powered vehicles off the road. 5.5 million. And across America, all these hubs are anchored in the promise to local communities, a promise to build these right, to ensure local priorities are at the forefront, risks are mitigated, and everyone benefits, especially communities left behind, like those that have suffered disproportionately from the legacy of pollution and environmental injustice. For example, here in Pennsylvania, Cheney University, the oldest HBCU in the country, is part of this hub and will be training workers for these new clean energy jobs.
And the Biden administration is grappling with the fact that the idea of student debt forgiveness infuriates many Americans, including those who never borrowed for their education or went to college. Taxes on employees making more than $400,000. The bill has gained some support, but is so far stalled in Congress. A big update, everybody. For Social Security and stimulus checks, eligible people can start applying today for additional stimulus assistance, and there are several programs that have been created that are aimed to providing financial help to Americans during this time. Today, people in Connecticut were able to start applying for a tax rebate just for families. The rebate, which was created as part of the budget bill that the governor signed into law last month, provides taxpayers with a state tax rebate of up to $240 per child for a maximum of 3 children. Any Connecticut resident who claimed at least one dependent, 18 or younger, on their 2021 tax return may be eligible as well. And while not everyone was qualified to receive the rebate, the Department of Revenue Services estimated more than 300,000 households can meet eligibility. Those applicants may see the extra money relatively soon. The filer status income threshold is single to married filing separately $100,000 or less and head of households. The rebate is for middle-class families. However, those who have higher income rates may be eligible to receive a reduced rebate based on their income. The period to apply began this week and ends on July 31st. The Department of Revenue Services said eligible families should start to receive their rebates in late August, right before the start of the new school year. The rebate came as the Biden administration pushed inflation as a top priority. It recently announced proposals aimed at boosting the U.S. economy. However, some of the presidential plans will need support of Congress, which could be a challenge. Governor Lyman said, "We created the state tax rebate to give Connecticut families with children additional relief. The application period is now open, and I strongly urge all families who claimed at least one dependent child on their 2021 tax return to submit an application as soon as possible, so that this rebate can be sent to you with no delays." When asked about rising inflation, McConnell told reporters, "We're going to have to squeeze this inflation down and get past the problems created by the Democratic government." Fewer Americans applied for jobless aid last week, with the number of Americans collecting unemployment at historically low levels. The Labor Department reported that applications for unemployment benefits fell by 11,000 to 200,000 for the week ending May 28th. And first-time applications generally track the number of layoffs. The 4-week average for claims, which evens out some of the weekly volatility, dipped by 500 from the previous week to 206,000. The number of people collecting jobless benefits for the week ending May 21st from the previous week also fell, down to 1.3 million, the fewest since December 1969. Experts say that the government and American workers are enjoying historically strong job security 2 years after the crisis plunged the economy. Experts say that American workers...
Well, with that long-awaited flick of the pen, President Biden gave tens of millions of Americans a new lease on life by canceling significant amounts of student debt. To President Biden, I say thank you. Thank you for listening to our calls. Thank you for taking action. The President's decision will make it easier for millions of Americans to finally pursue their own American dream.
Several more states have established new relief programs that provide residents with an extra stimulus check. A one-time $500 check is on the way for so many people. Now, if you owe your money in Virginia's tax return last year, you're in luck as November fast approaches, and that's because the Virginia General Assembly has passed a law giving taxpayers like you a 2022 tax stimulus rebate of up to $250 for individual filers and up to $500 for joint filers. The one-time 2020 tax stimulus check in Virginia is part of a recent trend. Over the 2022 state stimulus checks are being issued in California, New York, Colorado, and Florida, just to name a few states, many of which are sent and are currently sending stimulus payments to their residents. And I know many of you are wondering why so many states issue stimulus checks, and a lot of states are sitting under budget surpluses in part due to the influx of crisis relief funds from the federal government. But it's important to know that these state tax rebate checks and state stimulus payments are different from the 3 rounds of stimulus payments they may have received from the government. The federal stimulus program has ended, but if you didn't receive your 3rd stimulus check of $1,400, there's still time for you to file taxes and get those funds into your bank. So not every taxpayer, however, in certain states can get the 2022 tax rebate. If you had a tax liability on some returns, you'll get up to about $250 for a tax rebate if you're single, and up to $500 tax rebates if you're married and filing jointly. The last year of inflation has disproportionately hurt so many low-income families, and now those with the least flexibility in their monthly budgets absorb higher prices. Now, those same families could be hurt by economic policymakers' plan to tackle inflation, though interest rate hikes in potentially longer-lasting ways. Last month, leaders at the Federal Reserve predicted that, given their plans to continue rising rates, unemployment would rise from 3.7% to 4.4% by the end of the year, and this means an additional 1 million people would lose their jobs over the 12-month period. Now, Jerome Powell has also said that, "I wish there was a painless way to do this." Other financial analysts have even projected even higher unemployment as a result. Bank of America predicted unemployment will reach 5.6% by the end of this year, translating to more than 3 million people out of jobs. Now, on top of all this, if rate hikes do push millions of people more out of work, those who would likely bear the biggest brunt of that job loss and take the longest to recover are the same group suffering most from inflation. So, with higher unemployment and recessions,
legislation says that the wealthiest people in this country, you're no longer going to get a massive tax breaks in terms of Social Security Trust Fund. Pay a fair share. We solved that problem for 75 years. And by the way, there is a lot of support among the American people for that idea and in the Senate as well. But I think, Ali, to answer your question, I think our job in the Senate is to put concrete ideas on the table that the American people will say, yeah, we should raise the minimum wage. Yeah, we should increase benefits for low-income seniors and improve the solvency of Social Security. Yes, we should take on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry and lower prescription drug costs in this country. Yeah, $75,000 a year. Look, I know it is shocking, George, to some Republicans that the government actually, on occasion, does something to benefit working families and low-income people. I don't hear any of these Republicans squawking when we give massive tax breaks